Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
I don't like hearing those numbers. It took me 41 times just to win out here. It took too long, I felt like, but to kind of check two things off, not only winning for the first time on LIV, but also doing it in my home state means a lot. It's just been I feel like a long time coming to, win out here. I feel like the game's been solid. It's just, even like today, you always deal with adversity throughout every tournament you play. It's just how you're going to respond to handle it. And, luckily I was able to kind of ride the ship today and get in a playoff and, make that putt at the end. Yeah, the golf course was a pure test out there. I mean, if you hit a poor golf shot, you'd struggle and kind of have to figure out a way to try to make par. But if you hit quality golf shots, you're rewarded around this place. And, unfortunately, I honestly felt like I hit a lot of quality golf shots. The putter was flat. And I didn't really make anything today besides hitting it close there on the first hole. And, from that point on, I couldn't quite figure out the speed, didn't really have it dialed. And, when your speed's kind of off a hair, especially at a place like this, it's hard to make putts. And, to be able to make that putt on the end during the playoff meant a lot. I looked down my putter, and it's actually my daughter's putter. It's her head. And it says the Windsor Wells all over it. And I just looked down and I was like, come on, honey, we got to make one. And, for that putt to go in meant a lot, not only to get the win, but also to do it after changing quite some things in the golf bag. Kind of leading into the Open, and to come out and win against a field like this gives me all the confidence in the world going forward.
All right, Padraig Reed winning the LIV Golf Dallas event. There you can see the individual leaderboard. He won it in a playoff, as you just heard him discussing. First individual win on LIV for Padraig Reed, and there you can see the team finals as well. If I have time, we'll get to some of the team finals sound coming up, because Bryson spoke to that. And then you heard Padraig Reed talking about his preparations and for the Open. And welcome into the PXG Custom Studios. If you've never played like this before, we've never broadcast like this before. We are live from Stamford, Connecticut, here at the Courtyard by Marriott. Thank you to the accommodations that they provided us, because as you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous here. It's absolutely gorgeous out in this really, really neat city that has this cool combination of kind of old and traditional Northeast, New England, if you please, because they are still part of New England, even though we're the little part of Connecticut that sticks in, surrounded by New York and very, very close to New York City. As you can imagine, this whole area feels very much like the metro New York City area. I thought it was fun, so that's why we picked this position. It took us a while as far as the technology goes to figure out how we'd be able to broadcast to you from here today, but we're able to, and we're excited about it. So for Padraig Reed, last week on Golf Central, I was on with Rex Hoggard, and he was my analyst, I was hosting, and our producer said to us, well, as a segment, we're going to assume that the top 6 and the US Ryder Cup points lock down, and then you have to pick the other 6. And I picked Padraig Reed as my captain's pick at that time. And as you can imagine, I got a lot of grief from a lot of people about that, because I didn't pick Brian Harman. And so anyway, it is what it is. I got a lot of grief, but I thought Padraig Reed is playing really well. In fact, Andrew put together this graphic that compares where Padraig is with who would probably be the other primary candidates for the position. So I thought this was great that he and Don put this together. Here's Padraig Reed, 2025 majors, because remember, that's where he's getting his points. He can't get them from anywhere else with the way the point systems are structured. Third in the Masters, tied for 23rd at the US Open. His last 5 events, he has a win and 3 top 10s. His experience, 3 Ryder Cups, 7, 3, and 2. He is a major champion. He won 9 times on the PGA Tour. Okay, Brian Harman, 2025 majors, tied for 36 of the Masters, tied for 59th at the US Open. Is again, just one-to-one comparison. Padraig Reed played much better in those events. Last 5. Average finish for Brian Harman, 43rd. Experience, he's been on one Ryder Cup team, he's 500. He is a major champion too, he's won 4 times. Maverick McNeely, 2025 majors, tied for 32nd Masters, tied for 37th US Open. Last 5, average finish has been 23rd. Experience, hasn't been on a Ryder Cup team, he's a one-time winner in the PGA Tour. Okay, Harris English, 2025 majors, tied for 2nd at the PGA Championship, tied for 12th at the Masters, strong. His last 5 form, this one's a little bit different. We jumped around in this because he does have a win this year, and we needed a place to illustrate that, so we put it in the last 5. I know it's not his last 5 form, but he had a win in January at the Farmers, and he's had 2 top 10s in his last 5. His experience, he's been on one Ryder Cup team. He was 1 and 2. He's won 5 times on the PGA Tour. So I just thought it's a really strong body of work for Patrick Reed. Andrew, could you go back to that other graphic, that beautiful graphic that you guys made of Patrick Reed? I just thought it's a position right now that where we have Patrick, who's 3-0 in singles, that it makes a very strong argument. Now, whether it will be an argument that, and remember, Bryson's already, for the discussion that we had last week and for the purposes of today, Bryson's already in the top 6. So the presumption is that Bryson's going to qualify. He doesn't need a captain's pick. And then it's a question whether Keegan Bradley would pick Patrick Reed. Because of all the things that they've talked about with Patrick in the past, even before LIV, how well Patrick mixes with the other players, I look at it and say, who cares? I mean, isn't that part of the old school thinking problem, that someone needs to be in the in group, sitting at the popular table in order to get on the team? This is a strong body of work, and remember, we still have the Open before us for Patrick Reed to try to, once again, speak to his attributes to make the team. So I just thought it was a really interesting way to kick things off this morning, to start that conversation on whether Patrick Reed should be on the United States Ryder Cup team, and whatever you guys think. Dom, I would assume that since we're starting the conversation here this morning, that probably was your question of the day, to see what people think about putting Patrick on Team USA. Captain America back again.
Yes, that's correct, Matt. That was the question of the day. Should Patrick Reed be on the U.S. Ryder Cup team? And I phrased it as a captain's pick, because at this point he basically has to be a captain's pick. I think with where he is in the point standings, even if he were to win the Open Championship, I don't even think he would qualify in points. He just doesn't. He's not collecting points, really. So
Yep.
He would have to be a captain's pick. And right now it's 94% are saying yes. And Andrew, put that graphic up that we created, the long one with the comparison chart, back up. Because when you look at this, Matt, again, if you're looking at captain's picks and you're Keegan Bradley, 10, 11, 12, historically, Matt, I would say probably at least 2 of these people usually end up on the team. You know, someone who's 10, 11, 10, and 12. At the bare minimum, conservatively, I think forever, at least one of these 3 people in the 10, 11, 12 spot is always on the team. So you're looking at this group. I think you can make a very, very strong case that he deserves to be on the team right now, this second, more than Harman and McNeely. I think it's a tough case to make against English, but if you swapped him out for Harman and McNeely, seems incredibly reasonable to me right now, Matt.
Yeah, I agree with the argument that you're making on Patrick Reed getting on the United States Ryder Cup team. I just wonder with Patrick whether this isn't going to be about actual numbers and performance, but it's going to be more about politics. That's where my concern is on it, because it sure seems like he's giving a very, very good run. I think he needs a really high finish at the Open to slam dunk this thing, if it's going to happen for Patrick. Now, you guys also heard me mention Bryson and his team winning. So we have sound from Bryson, which I'm going to play for you here in just a second. And it's not necessarily relative to making the Ryder Cup team or having that discussion, but I did want you to hear from Bryson and hear mindset, because this was a winner for a team. And he talks about, because Bryson, so much about Bryson is talking about marketing and connecting and brand building and more, and he does touch on that. Here he is.
Well, I'd say I'm super proud of the way each and every one of these guys played this week. They fought with their heart. They never gave up. This is a golf course where you can lose your cool real easily. And these guys were veterans out here, and they showed up and stood out for Dallas and stood out for our team. And we knew it was going to be a tough test. We're ripe and ready for the challenge whenever it is a tough test. And I think that's why we're able to shine amongst all the teams, is because the harder the test gets, we seem to do better. So we loved this challenge, and it showed, winning by 11 shots. This is for our third straight win. That's pretty impressive, I would say. And again, I couldn't be more proud of the guys, the way they played. We still have room to improve. We all want to win. We all could have won this week, and that's what makes this team special. Is we're continuing to grind and we're not giving up. Yeah, do we have time on our own and relax and whatnot? Yeah, but then there's time where they go and grind and work their butts off, and that's what I like seeing out of a team. I have no more words to say other than I'm super proud of these guys. Continue to say it. Having 9 total wins, pretty impressive. I don't know what the next number is, but we want to expand that gap. First, starting off with Bonn, India. We've always known that India is a ripe market for golf. It's getting ready to blast off in a sense and grow like never before. I was there in India earlier this year, and Paul was as well. We saw the crowds that came out there, and I think us playing globally, the Crushers as a team and a franchise, were able to showcase ourselves in our regions that we're from. And I think Bonn is a great example of that, of how it allows us to showcase the game of golf in his corner of the world, right? We're going to JCB, where Paul's from, in that region, in a sense. And again, we've been in Florida, Dallas. The game of golf is ready for change, and we continue to hope to see the game of golf move in this team direction. Obviously, the game of golf will always be an individual sport. We'll always play for individual titles. But why not have a team aspect as well to it? Why can't we have more fun together? Why can't we build something special? Why can't we influence and inspire the next generation of golfers as a team? You know, we want people to have that fandom like you have with the Lakers, like you have with, the Yankees and stuff. It's going to take time. We all know that. And the people that, are looking at us going, what is this? Why is it even a thing? Well, the Yankees had to start somewhere. The Lakers had to start somewhere. And we're just at the inception. This is only, 3 years in now?
Yeah. I think, our team is just a kind of small reflection of where we play around the planet as a league. That's pretty diverse. We are the global tour. And, the lineup you see on here, we're very proud of the fact we've not changed. Bryson's not changed this lineup. But, who knows what this looks like in 5 years or 10 years' time. That's exciting too. So, Bryson wants to fill this team with the best players possible. But he's not afraid to. We are the
best.
We are the best. So, in fact, we don't have to look right now. So just, ignore that search for another player.
All right, that was Paul Casey weighing in on that as well. Interesting questions raised there, and thoughts about where LIV is fitting in kind of the global golf schedule. Not only where they play, but in terms of who they are in the marketplace, et cetera. I thought that was an interesting conversation. And we're at a point now with Bryson DeChambeau that when he speaks, his words carry weight. It's really interesting when you look at the arc of the career of Bryson DeChambeau and where we started, and then we went through kind of the schoolyard bullying of his dust-up with Brooks Koepka, and the fact that Bryson has now come out on the other side of it, arguably the most popular golfer in the world. Really fascinating stuff. You'll be fascinated by Ben Hogan's golf equipment. Ben Hogan is direct from the legendary company that man founded in 1953 to you. Ben Hogan Golf is your tour truck. Their new PTX metalwood lines, which includes their drivers and their fairway metals and their hybrids, are built for performance. Absolutely cutting edge design in this equipment so that you can play your very, very best. And I know you'll be honored to have equipment in your golf bag that has the name Ben Hogan etched right into the metal. BenHoganGolf.com. Stay with us. More coming up in the Fairways of Life show.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds. When golfers lose their focus, they're totally... But Bridgestone can help. Introducing Mindset. The ball scientifically designed to keep you focused. First, identify your target. Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology.
You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me? We see the game in a different way.
We all have our own styles.
We swing our own swing. But we have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct offerings to choose from, the Revel is in the details.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Middle market businesses are facing unprecedented shifts, which demand tailored solutions and decisive action. RSM stands as the unwavering leader of the middle market, empowering you to take charge of change and conquer this era of transformation. RSM. Experience the power of being understood.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Matt, I just want to give you a quick update with this Patrick Reed stuff because it's moving around here. Minesh writes, Patrick should always be on the team. He's Captain America. You need that feistiness. And our question of the day, should he be on the Ryder Cup team as captain pick? It's still heavy. It's now 73% are saying Patrick Reed belongs on this Ryder Cup team coming up in September.
That's interesting because, again, I would come down to, for anyone that doesn't want him on the team, and welcome back to the show, folks. You just heard Dom saying, I'm live today from this beautiful location here in Stamford, Connecticut, because I'm hosting a Golf Central really for the next couple of weeks up here in advance of getting to the Open. But I would be curious for the 27% that don't want Patrick on the team, based on what? You know what I mean? What's
well, here's the thing, Matt.
That...
Andrew, put up the graphic again with the comparisons. If you look at this chart that we've built here, if you delete the names, Matt, Just delete the names. Everybody's name is gone. It's just 4 columns. I don't even think you would look at the other people. The person on your far left with a win and 3 top 10s in their last 5 events, all that Ryder Cup experience, that incredible Ryder Cup record. He's got all those tour wins. He's got a major championship. He's playing solid in the majors this year. You would look at that person and say, I don't know who that is, but he needs to be on the team over those other 3 people. It's just when you bring his name into it, and like you were talking about before about sort of the politics of it all and the preconceived notions, that's it. That's literally the only reason that he doesn't belong on the team or that there's even a discussion. Am I wrong?
Well, it would be interesting about it. And Andrew, sorry we keep on barking at you to put up different graphics. If you put up the graphic of where the United States points are right now for the Ryder Cup, you could pretty much do this same comparison for everybody that's outside of the qualifying, right? Colin Morikawa, who has been playing in signature events, and because he's playing in signature events, there's a higher purse, and because the point is based upon money, Colin Morikawa is kind of in that secured position. I realize that he's 5th in the world, and he had a decent weekend at the Rocket Classic, which we're going to be talking about, but his season has not been exceptional. And you could do that same comparison. Ben Griffin deserves to be on the team. Keegan Bradley deserves to be on the team. So from that standpoint, if you took Harris English but for a second, leave this graphic up there, Andrew, if you would. But if you took Harris English on the weight of his performance and a win this year, et cetera, I'm okay with that. But that still leaves us 2 spots. Is Maverick McNeely's season or Brian Harman's season better than Patrick Reed? No. Andrew Novak's had a really good season. I'd love to see Andrew Novak be on that team, but right now he has that injury, the muscle pull between his ribs that he told us about on the show at the Travelers. So unless he comes back and says, oh no, I'm 100% fit, and it shows with performance, then he's an injured athlete. Patrick Cantlay, has he had a better season than Patrick Reed? No. Sam Burns, has he had a better season, despite the fact that Sam Burns is awesome with the putter? No, he hasn't had a better season. Both of those guys had the experience. So all I'm saying is that if you extended that comparison to as high up as you choose to go, Dom, I don't think we're going to find a body of work that's better.
Well, what's interesting about the points side of it, Matt, is so we have basically 5 events left. And we're going to talk about the FedEx Cup standings in the bubble because, remember, it's moving to the top 100, not the top 125. So we're going to discuss that and show you guys an update on that. But what I was going to say is there's only 5 events left before that locks down, basically. And that includes the Open Championship. Now, there's a couple opposite field events, but it's 5 events, basically. And then you have the playoffs. For the guys that are 17th on that Ryder Cup list we were showing, if they want to move up, right, if you're Cam Young or Daniel Berger and you're trying to make a push or a run, you got to play a lot of golf. A lot of golf. You're going to play 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks out of 11 weeks in a row if you include the playoffs.
Well, remember,
in there.
you still have one more major left, but go ahead. That's 1.5 points.
Correct, but
for every $1,000 earned.
True, that's true. But one of the things I was getting at, Matt, is Patrick Reed does not have the ability to collect points over the next 2 or 3 months. He can only get points
other than the Open, but go ahead.
The Open Championship. Now, he could win another 3 live events, right? And that really is going to make his stock higher, and there'll be certainly a push to make him a captain's picks. But those live tour wins are worth 0 Ryder Cup points. 0. So that makes it complicated. And the guys down in the 15 to 20 range here on this Ryder Cup standings list that you're looking at, I would imagine they're going to play, assuming the Ryder Cup is as important to all of them as we think it is, they're going to play a lot of golf to try and accumulate as many points as they possibly can as we come down the stretch here, because Keegan's got to make his picks, when the playoffs are wrapping up, which is not that far off, Matt.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it's fascinating, and that's also why I was saying that I think that Patrick has to play well at the Open to really emphatically make his case. I think if he's anything less than 10th, then he's going to lose the momentum. And that momentum isn't necessarily based upon the reality of performance. It's based upon what is also a stark reality of the politics that go into all of this. I think the question should be, does the body of work, is it better than those that you're comparing to? Please take me away from the fraternity approach, their best friends approach, all of that. Take me away from that, because that didn't work. In Rome, it was a colossal failure, right? And I would dare say it's been a failure of putting people on the team because we felt like there was a compulsion to put them on the team, has been something that's hurt the United States Ryder Cup team for, the last 20 years. Probably more than that, 30 years. So
well, Keegan has said publicly, Matt, that he just wants to win, and he wants the players on the team that are going to lead the U.S. to victory. Read into that as you may.
Yeah, that's assuming that motivation is not beat down by politics and circumstance since he initially made those. But when he came out, he basically said, "I want the best players I can get for Team USA," and that's where I'm coming from with all this. I'm not really concerned about the politics one way or another, where you stand one way or another. I'm concerned about who are the best players you can put on the team to give Team USA the best chance to win. And I think that the conversation becomes a little bit more acute because Team Europe is playing really well. So, or those that are looking like they're going to be on the team for Team Europe are playing really well and having a lot of high finishes. And so you can go into it and go, yeah, it's at Bethpage Black, which is what, an hour away from where I am right now, maybe an hour and a half with traffic. You could look at that and go, okay, here's Andrew put up their board where they stand right now as of the time of the show. But you could say, yeah, they're going to be in New York and it's a hostile crowd and it's going to be this and that. But even if you say that the gallery at the Ryder Cup in Bethpage is the 13th player on the team, there's nothing saying that player is going to go 4-0 or 5-0. Right? This is going to be structured in such a way that these are pretty hardened veterans and they're used to Ryder Cups. They pretty much know what to expect there. And outside of that, if there's anything more to be expected than what they've dealt with before, even if more intense in its passion, if it's anything beyond that line that I just defined, then that's on the PGA of America in terms of how they're structuring and what standards of conduct should be accepted. I think at Hazeltine, the lines were crossed. That was just too much. It was too dangerous. The people asserted themselves too much to a point of danger to players or themselves. And I think that comes down to a lot of it comes down to how you manage alcohol sales, et cetera. It's no different than any other big sport in the United States, where you start to look at it and you go, when it is golf, because the thing that divides a player and the gallery is a rope. You have to be careful, and you want to maintain the dignity of the event, but mostly you want to maintain the safety of the event on both sides. And ultimately, do any of you want some guy in the grandstands to determine the results of a match that you're vested in, one way or the other? Yeah, Dom.
I was just saying, Andrew, put those standings back up. Thinking about the European team when you're talking there, I'm looking at that team list right now. I don't think there's room for a lot of picks in there. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but Ludwig Oberg, Justin Rose, Victor Hovland, and Jon Rahm, you explained to me under what circumstances they are not on that team. They're all going to be on that team. And Rasmus is in the number 7 spot, and that's too high not to get a captain's pick. So, I think there is only one available spot for the Europeans.
Right. Dietrich's already won on the PGA Tour. Matt Wallace is an absolute fighter. Aaron Rai, yeah, they've got, honestly,
I'm just saying there's one pick. They only have one pick because Jon Rahm is a lock. There's no way they're not going to get that figured out. Jon Rahm's going to be on the team. And you're not going to not pick Justin Rose if he's 9th and it's Justin Rose with 1,000 Ryder Cups under his belt. They're going to put Ludwig on the team. They're going to put Victor on the team, no matter what, pretty much. So, and Rasmussen, number 7, like I said, I think that high up, it's a lock for a pick. That literally means, unlike the U.S. team where there's some movement here, there's only one available slot for the Europeans, I think, Matt. Only one.
Right. Right. That's what I guess I'm coming down to with all of this whole conversation today and how it relates to the discussion of Patrick Reed is that the pathway for Keegan Bradley to decide who his 6 captains' picks will be is not anywhere near as straightforward as it is for Luke Donald. The bottom half of Team USA, and that's really from Colin Morikawa on, is not as strong as the top half, and absolutely the choices are not as strong as Europe has. So you've got to start to look at it and go, okay, how can I ensure that I have the best team that I possibly can have? So people will be watching this wherever you're watching us around the world right now, and you're going to look at Patrick Cantlay and so how can we not pick Patrick Cantlay? Because he hasn't had a good season. You know, maybe he'll find it at the Ryder Cup. I guess we have to say the same thing with Colin Morikawa, though he's showing signs. So it's a really interesting conversation. We will continue with the Fairways of Life show. I promised you some different directions that we're going to get into, and I'll do that after this break. But once we started this conversation again about the Ryder Cup, and because we're getting closer and closer, and as Dom pointed out, at least on the PGA Tour side, there are fewer and fewer opportunities for players to assert themselves emphatically. And for Patrick Reed that started this whole discussion, I think there's basically one opportunity for him to assert himself, and that's to play very well at the Open. Sure, he can continue to win on LIV, and that might get some respect and interest, but the majors are the things where he can really move the needle on his own without it being interpreted in any other way. So I think it's really important what he does at Royal Portrush, and we'll see how that plays itself out as well. NewtonGolfCo.com is one of the partners of the Fairways of Life show because their golf shafts are absolutely exceptional. Made in the USA, everything obviously is grounded in their science to increase distance, increase consistency, and that's because the way and the consistency that their shafts are made and their symmetrical design is 360, because graphite shafts are wrapped, and you have to make sure that you have consistency throughout. The kinetic weight, the load, the elongated bend profile allows you to load at the top of your swing and keep that energy and that force and deliver it into the golf ball unlike anything else in the marketplace right now. There's a reason why tour pros, particularly the PGA Tour champions, are flocking to this product. It is a massive, massive success. Let it help your game. Regardless of the level that you're at, you can play better, and you can do it with the driver that you have right now. You just need the right golf shaft. NewtonGolfCo.com for more information. More in the Fairways of Life show after this.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
Golf season is back, baby. Play the best rounds of your life with PXG. I feel like dancing. I feel like dancing. Visit PXG.com to see what we can do for your game. I'm feeling groovy, so groovy. PXG, you've never played like this before.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me? We see the game in a different way.
We all have our own styles.
We swing our own swing. but we have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct offerings to choose from, the Revel is in the details.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. You know, Hub's Peanuts has been cooking up the top 1% of peanuts for over 70 years. And these aren't your average nut. These are super extra large Virginia peanuts cooked in the USA. Family-owned Hub's Peanuts have more protein than any other nuts. So whether it's a boost on the course or a special gift, the variety of flavors guarantees Hub's Peanuts is just what you need. Family-owned, nutritious, delicious, and sustainable. Hub's Peanuts, it's just right. HubsPeanuts.com.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
Welcome back to the PXG Custom Studios. You have never played like this before. Log on to pxg.com to see why you can play the best golf of your entire life. Welcome back to the show. We are live today. We're outside. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're here in Stamford, Connecticut, and thank you to the Courtyard Marriott for providing us with the absolutely perfect locale to broadcast the Fairways of Life show today. Really excited about being here. I'm up hosting Golf Central at NBC Sports in the Northeast, and it's been a beautiful run because last time I was up here last week, remember it was 100 and something degrees in Central Park on that one particular day, and I'm sure that those temperatures were racing right across the Northeast. I haven't looked at the weather just because I'm working every day for the next few days personally, but hopefully it's nice wherever you are, whatever's going on. Next week, after I finish this run of shows, I will eventually be making my way to Ireland in advance of the Open, and we'll be doing the Fairways of Life show from Royal Portrush. Really looking forward to that as well. So you heard us right before the break talking about the FedEx Cup. There is a really huge, I think it's being underplayed, to be honest, or people aren't realizing the significance of it. In fairness, that the FedEx Cup, I'm talking about keeping your card now, is going from the top 100 to from top 125, to top 100. Think about how huge a reduction that is. The tour hasn't seen a reduction of that scale in over 40 years since they started the all-exempt tour in 1983. So what you're looking at now is players, and it's not, this is kind of grabbing big names, right? You're looking at players that previously, up to Max Home at 122 in this particular list, you're looking at players that previously would have been fully exempt. You're okay, don't worry about a thing. But now you look at it and you go, wow, there's some guys. Now, you look at like Austin Eckroat, he's 100, but he's still exempt, so he's okay. But you're looking at some pretty big name players that you're talking about them losing their fully exempt status. This is huge. This is 25 guys, again, with notwithstanding special status that they've earned, that would be losing their jobs. That would be losing their fully exempt card. Now, the way that it would work is they, in the future, those that finished in that category, say up to 125, they would be in an exempt category, just not fully exempt. They would fall in behind the Korn Ferry Tour winners, as an example, moving forward. So I just think that this is absolutely huge, and it speaks to changes coming to the PGA Tour. So what the PGA Tour is attempting to do is they're looking at it and saying, okay, well, we started these signature events, and the signature events, if you're looking at it from the perspective of let's say, a dissenting perspective, if you please, you would say, okay, well, it's a rich get richer because the signature events have a much bigger purse. The signature events, that if you're in a signature event, it's much easier to stay in the signature event because it's based on points, and all those points are bigger from the signature events, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. What it really comes down to is that the PGA Tour made a decision to say, the thing that moves the needle for us are our stars. So we need to put together a tour that there were 8 signature events this year, plus you have the FedEx Cup playoffs, plus you have the majors, et cetera. So you can start to do the math in terms of how it stacks up. We need to put together a tour where the people see the best of the best, while less, but still a decent amount of times, and then you add into it the other big events. Yeah, like I said, players, majors, FedEx Cup playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. So that's you can tell I'm in a city, and you can tell I'm right outside of New York City because you can hear the fire trucks and the police cars going by. That's the symphony of sound that exists in these big cities, and they are vibrant and they are exciting. I hope wherever that's going, everybody's okay. It's passing directly under us right now. So what the PGA Tour was attempting to do is to say, okay, we're going to put together a tour within a tour. They haven't used this terminology, this is me talking. We're going to put together a tour within a tour where we have these signature events, and the signature events are roughly 80 players, and you've got players who were exempt for the signature events based upon their performance in the prior year. That's up into the BMW Championship. That's the top 50. Then you have the Aon Next 5. Then you have the Aon Swing 10. And that's based upon players who are playing well at the full field events in between the signature events, and they can earn their pathway in. I'll give you an example of what that means. Maverick McNeely, we've been talking about today. JJ Spawn is another good example of players that have worked their way into these elite fields. So it can be done. It is possible to do. And then you have the full field events, which is basically for the rest. That doesn't mean that signature players in signature events, like this past weekend at the Rocket Classic, which Aldrich Potgieter won, Colin Morikawa was playing in that event. And players are looking to make, because they have these critical numbers, get inside the top 50 so that you're inside the signature events for 2026. Get inside the top 70 so that you're in the FedEx Cup playoffs. Get inside the top 100 so you're fully exempt and you keep your card for 2026. So these are the things that are changing. The PGA Tour is looking at it and going, okay, we need to create events that have a stronger field so that there's more interest from, well, all of you guys. That was the mentality behind it. That was what they were trying to do. That is what they accomplished if you judge it from the standpoint of where the ratings are on television. And across the board, you'll see that the ratings are up. And obviously, also the majors have a lot to do with it because they were awesome too. They've contributed. We still have one more of those to go. We still have those FedEx Cup playoffs that I mentioned to go. We still have the Ryder Cup to go. So we've got some really cool things that lie on the horizon. So from the standpoint of what the PGA Tour is trying to do, and was this a reaction to what LIV was doing? 100%. Full on credit where credit is due, because I asked a member of the board, Peter Malnati, one time, I said, did you benefit from LIV? He said, absolutely. So, I mean, it is what it is. But again, I'm not criticizing anybody from that one way or the other, because if you notice what your competition is doing and your competition is doing something better than you and you don't react to that, then shame on you. So they put all this together. They put the structure together, and it's working. For me personally, I still would like to see the signature events have a larger field, because I think when you have the stars, what you're trying to do is you're trying to say to your network media partners, no, don't worry about it. You're going to have the stars. When it comes to the weekends, you're going to see the big names. You're going to the sponsors and going, look, we know this costs a lot of money to do what you're doing, and you're going to have the stars. They're going to be there. It's all good, right? So that's working. But my feeling is that I don't think you need to limit the field as much as they have. For example, if it were me, I would go from 80 to 120 like they used to have for all of the invitationals, and I would still have a cut. Cut's obviously going to be smaller, but my conviction is that the bigger name players will always, the cream's going to rise to the top, will always get to the top of the leaderboard. And if they don't, that means one of those guys who you've rarely heard from or are just trying to get to know, or maybe it's a young guy like Aldrich that emerged at the top. I don't know. I love seeing that. But you're given limited opportunities for that to take place so that you're staying true to this formula that they've created that is working in terms of what it's getting back from the marketplace and the success that they're having in the marketplace. So all of these numbers are really important. And we're at a time of year, again, as Don was talking about, roughly 5 events left. I always get a little bit of a smirk whenever the discussion comes up about whether Keegan should pick himself for the team, and then you have the people say, oh, no, there's a lot of time. There's still a lot of time. There's not a lot of time. There's absolutely not a lot of time. Keegan said this past week at the Rocket Classic that he's concentrating on being the captain, and it sounded to me like very much like the whole team kind of huddled together. They all talk all the time. They're like, we need to quell this. We need to quiet this discussion down because it's going to be too much of a distraction on the captain. For right now, you're just the captain. Okay, cool. We don't have to worry about anything else until the day that you actually pick. So for right now, you're just a captain. The thing that could really throw off that scenario for Keegan, what happens if he wins again? What happens if he plays really well in a couple events? What happens if he plays really well at the Open? What happens if he wins the Open? Then it's like automatic. You can't even deny it anymore, right? You're winning one of those positions. It's done. So it's really curious, and there's some big changes coming to the PGA Tour, and that's why it is so fascinating, because these changes that I'm talking about are not theory. They're happening and they're taking place this year. Even the Tour Championship scrapped the idea that they've used the last few years of having players coming in, the first player in line, it starts the week 10 under par, et cetera, et cetera. All that stuff was bizarre, and it didn't make sense to the viewers, and ultimately the people that you have to serve, the people that you have to make sure are happy are the players, nowadays more so than it's been in decades on the PGA Tour. The players have got themselves in a position where their voice really matters. Your media partners, it really matters. Because if the media partners can't make the commercial revenue that they need from the broadcast of your event, it's going to impact the value of your rights package. Your sponsors really matters. The sponsors are doing it for a reason. Yes, you need to get to know what the individual reasons are of all of these respective sponsors, but for many of them, they need to bring in their biggest clients. They need to make sure that they're wowed. They need to make sure that they're seeing big names there. So for all those reasons, all of that is working, but there are big changes coming. I mean, we have a new CEO on the PGA Tour, Brian Rolap, who came over from the NFL, and amongst other things, he was one of the reasons that the NFL network has been so successful. What does that mean for the PGA Tour? This kind of focus on the rights, etc. Brian's got to deal with a membership constituency where you're going to have people that are not happy about all the things that I just discussed, about what they call limiting playing opportunities. That's a terminology that they'll use, whereas the PGA Tour is kind of looking at it from a sober position, going, it's not about the equity of playing opportunities. It's about surviving in today's complex sports marketplace, and that's also a sports media marketplace, and Brian is an expert in that area vis-a-vis the NFL. He was there for 22 years, and you'll see he was most recently the NFL's chief media and business officer. He oversaw long-term agreements with Amazon, CBS, ESPN, ABC, Fox, NBC for the distribution of NFL games over television and digital platforms. Prior to joining the NFL, you got to go all the way back to 2003. He served as director of business development for NBC Universal in New York. So he's got that experience. He's been on both sides of the table. It's absolutely fascinating, but he is going to have to deal with the politics of a membership, and make sure you deal with that, because The PGA Tour is going to do and say all the right things about what Jay Monahan has had to deal with and what Jay Monahan has done. And whether you like Jay or you don't like Jay, Jay still got them to where they are today, where they've got this new CEO coming in. But he's got a lot of stuff that he's going to have to tackle, and it's going to be a complicated job for Brian Rolab, and not the least of which is to start right where I just mentioned with the media. And I'm not talking about guys with pen and paper and microphones in hand and what their reaction or opinion is. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the opinion of the players, the opinion of the sponsors, the opinion of your media partners, because the media partners are putting so much money into the PGA Tour and those rights, and you've got to protect the value of your rights. That is the underpinning of any league. So it's all fascinating, but it brings us back to those numbers that I was talking about. There's change. The winds of change are blowing. Top 50 is critically important for those signature events because it is a rich get richer, whether you like it or not. That's the reality of where you stand right now. You need to get inside of that top 70, or you're not going to have the best chance for your run through the FedEx Cup and the FedEx Cup playoffs accordingly. Critically important for all of the status that players need moving forward. And then ultimately, where are you relative to the top 100? Because if you're not inside that number, you are losing your job. Maybe there are players that are exempt for other reasons, like the wins over the last couple of years, and so they can ride that out for a little bit more. But if you don't have that status, you're losing your full-time job. You're losing the ability to say, I'm going to play where I want, when I want, any place on the PGA Tour, and you've got to roll the dice, the luck of the draw, to make sure that you get in based upon your status. And you're still going to have an elevated status, but you're not going to be fully exempt. And that's just the top 125. Outside of that, and you're really not talking about players that are that far off the mark, they're going to have to try to figure out what they're going to do through the Corn Ferry Tour. Absolutely fascinating. More coming up in the Fairways Live Show. Stay with us.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What does it take to be an original?
Cam knows something about that. So does Chi-Chi, Charlie, and you get it. In 1955, we stepped onto the scene. Now a new generation of pros are wearing the most iconic styles in the game. The fit, the feel, the look. It's all an expression of you. Original Penguin. Here for the good times.
Innovation has been at the heart of every SuperStroke grip we've ever created, cementing our status as the #1 putting grip on tour. Now the best just got better. Introducing SuperStroke Synergy, our most advanced putting grips ever, for unmatched confidence to quiet your hands and your mind. Find the perfect grip for your game at superstrokeusa.com.
Independent tester Golf Ball Addict tested 100 of the best golf balls available and ranked PXG's 2 tour balls at #1 and #2, each scoring a 10 of 10 in performance, a 10 of 10 in durability, and a 10 of 10 in value. So what are you waiting for? Visit PXG.com or a PXG location near you to pick up your PXG Extreme Tour or Extreme Tour X golf balls for only $34.99 a dozen. PXG, you've never played like this before.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.